Hey, team. Welcome back to another episode of the Jenn Commandments podcast. I am your host, Jenn Wien. I'm an engineer currently working in Wisconsin. I grew up in the Chicagoland area and I went to college in Michigan. Hey, today is currently Monday. It's the day before this releases. It's currently I don't know, 6:44 p.m. I'm hoping to get this shit done before Love Island airs, but then I gotta edit it, so we're gonna cut it close. We're gonna cut it real close. We'll see. I figured today we do a palate cleanser. I am okay. I not It's heavy to talk about Iran and everything that's happening. I am going to link the YouTube video in the description of the YouTube video that I was watching to study for you guys. And so if you want to do that, I really implore you to go do that. Um, it's just a lot to talk about, and I'm not necessarily the best person to be talking about it. And so I think I did pretty good. I did my best last week. But if you want to catch the rest of it, like I said, I think I only watched about the first 11 minutes. So you should be caught up to about the 11-minute mark. And then from there, you can find out. I guess it that specific YouTube video released a day or two before stuff started popping off, and so it's a little outdated even now, but I think it's a very good all-encompassing video. I haven't watched the full thing, so I don't know. From what I can tell, it's a very good all-encompassing video of what's happening between the US and Iran and how it came to be what it is. So yeah, go check that out. So that's the tea on that. We got an extra day off of work this week. So it was Independence Day weekend or 4th of July weekend. I don't really know if I agree with it being Independence Day. I certainly do not agree with nearly anything that the US does, especially in the political climate right now. But I also acknowledge the distinct privilege it is to be and live in America. So, especially as a woman and a white woman. And so, um, I guess that's all I have to say about it. We got an extra day off, you know? I saw fireworks on Thursday. Dante's really good with fireworks. I did give him some calming treats. But overall he's not too freaked out by fireworks. And then okay, so we had Friday off. So I got up early and I watched Love Island. So we're going to talk about Love Island. So by the time this comes out, I will have only watched up to episode 30. And it's the episode where Sierra has to leave because she said some racist shit. And fuck her, you know. I hated her throughout the whole season. I think she's very calculated. I think she really cares about what people think of her, and all of her actions come from caring about what people think of her. And a show like Love Island was only going to eat that bitch alive, you know? And I don't necessarily, as a result, I don't really necessarily trust Nick's intentions because I perceive Nick as somebody who's pretty smart and he's a himbo for sure, but I don't think he's a dumb himbo. He's a nurse. He had to figure out nursing school is not easy, you know. I don't know. I'm you saw that bitch was calculated, and you purposely wanted to be her couple. So in my head, Nick has always liked Alondria. And I've also seen his old high school clips come up and shit. And he is very well versed with the Black community. Like, you can tell that he prefers, in my head, he prefers Black women. Um, and all power to him. But what I think is like, he saw somebody who is also playing very calculated, and thought that that would be like an easy way to like make money. But unfortunately, like, the general populace is a little bit more observant than I think people give other people credit for. I think it would be really hard to fake a relationship on a show that airs every single day. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that the cameras are on you too much to go into a situation like Love Island with the idea and the expectation that you're going to like pull the wool over all of America's eyes. Like, granted, we have somebody in office who like is a cult leader in very similar ways, but like, I don't know, that's Donald Trump, and like, this is Nick from Love Island. Nick from Love Island, who apparently can't hit the toilet bowl. Hey, I think you should be disqualified from Love Island if you can't make it into the toilet. I think that should be a prerequisite to going on national television. I'm sorry. I thought you were a nurse. The fuck is going on, bro? What do you mean? What do you mean the standard of, hey, maybe you should hit the toilet bowl can't be an expectation for men? The bar is in hell. I'm pissed off. Because what the fuck is that? I think he should have been disqualified. I think that they should have kicked him off of Love Island. What? What do you mean you're living? And like, not only are you leaving piss on the toilet seat, you're like leaving it for other people to clean up. I don't want to talk about it anymore, actually. We talked about Sierra, talked about Nick. Let's talk about Alandria. That's like the natural next step. So at the end of this episode, Alandria and Nick decided to pair up together. And for me, it's too late. For me, like, I think that Nick, like I said, I think Nick has always liked Alandria. And I think that had he done the vulnerable choice and decided to pursue the woman that he actually liked, I think he would have had a higher chance of winning. However, I think instead he went with the safe option and like the easy, not easy, but like, well, yes, not yes. They was fucking clapping cheeks in front of all of their peers. Hey, not only are you pissing on the toilet seat, but you're also fucking in the same room as me. Hey, most inconsiderate award goes to Nick. I'm pissed. I'm pissed, bro. Cause what are you talking about? It's exhausting. Um anyway, we're talking about Alandria. I think that Alandria set her standards so high that she created a cage for herself. And I could be projecting a lot of my feelings about myself onto Alandria, but I do think that she she faces that sort of that cross that all strong women have to bear, of at some point you have to come to terms with the fact that this defense mechanism, this thing that you created to keep yourself from getting hurt, is doing such a good job of it that people are so intimidated to even come into your space that to them it's not worth the venture. Of like, you are so guarded that like people don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? And I understand being a slow burner, and I understand wanting to make sure that the person that you are pursuing has pure intentions as it relates to you. However, I do think that at some point it becomes a prison, and like at some point it becomes like, and I'm not just speaking for Alandria now, I'm also just like speaking sort of how I feel about myself and how I viewed intimacy up to this point in my life. Um and it sucks cuz like of course you want to be or like you want to find somebody that's the exception to the rule or whatever, but then also like it requires some sort of vulnerability on your side too. Like you can't just expect this person to like pour into you um without receiving some sort of validation, like you do have to be like, hey, I do like you or something. um and in addition to that, something that I've had to learn as of recently. So when we were watching that challenge where they had to put stuff in the mailboxes about each other, fucked up challenge, first of all. You guys are messy. But during that, this is sort of the first time that she really is is truly like honest with Taylor about like the things that she's actually upset about, like the way that he moved and whatever. And like something that I'm learning, because I do think that Alandria is a very high, like if we're gonna be really red pill about it, I Alandria is a high value woman. Like she is strong, she is independent, she is all of the things that in theory you want out of a woman when you are somebody, when you are also a high value person who's seeking their intimacy or whatever, right? Like Alandria is dope, okay? However, I think that because the go-to is defensiveness, she doesn't sh when she finally opens herself up to be vulnerable, like she did with Taylor during that challenge, where she was like, I considered you while I was exploring other connections and you didn't do a fucking thing for me, whatever she said. It was aggressive and like um i I totally think that she had every reason to be that angry, quite frankly. What I'm learning in therapy right now, and seeing her do it was just like a very clear example to me of like, oh, this is misplaced anger. One, because like part of it is she was angry at herself for considering him and she didn't know that he wouldn't do this. Like I guess part of it is like she sort of felt stupid. And I think ego plays such a big role in dating in general, but especially when you put it on the scale that is Love Island, because not only then are you looking silly to like your friends in the villa, but then you're looking silly to like the whole world. And I think that just brings up such an interesting point about how much ego plays into relationship dynamics. Because for me, a lot of my anger as it relates to partners in the past, actually I'm gonna make a bold statement and say that probably just with the historic knowledge of how much I have disvalued myself throughout my life, I would say that probably throughout all of my romantic partnerships with people, my anger at them has almost exclusively been because of how other people would perceive me if they found out that they treated me that way, and not because I deserve to be treated better. Let's just sit with that for a second. So, with that in mind, when we're thinking about a Taylor and Alandria situation, I truly believe, and this could be completely me projecting, But I think that Olandria's her feelings that like she needed to stand on business at least once to Taylor to just like show that she was the strong woman that everyone thinks she is and finally just like stand on it. I think that comes more from a place of ego than it does from a place of actually valuing yourself. And you know why I know that? Is because she didn't see Taylor's actions before that, before he finally picks her, as enough reason to want to move away to begin with. Because, like, as soon as, did y'all just hear my jaw pop? That was crazy. As soon as they got back from Casa Amor, Taylor stopped pulling her for chats. Taylor stopped making her breakfast. Like, Taylor was clearly showing her that he was not interested in her anymore. And a woman who truly values herself like the way that she carries herself, right? Because she carries herself like she deserves princess treatment, and she does. She deserves all those things. But she carries herself with this very like chip on her shoulder, right? And the T is if she truly felt those things, like to her core, right? She would have seen the way Taylor started moving and been like, bet it's time for me to move on as well. And maybe she could have stood on business to him personally. And then, like, when she popped out with a new man, maybe she could have thrown shade, right? But, like, I just feel really bad for her, you know, because I feel her. I have totally and utterly been Alandria, you know? So love her down. I'm praying for her on her exit from the villa, you know. I I hope that she does not date somebody who can't make it into the toilet bowl. I would be really angry for her if she even considered Nick at this point, especially after hearing that shit. That would just be fucking crazy to me, but I'm here to support women's rights and wrongs, you know. What's next? Oh, Ace looks like a Build-A-Bear. No further questions. Amaya and Brian. Hey! Oh my fucking god, bro. I love Amaya and Brian. I love how Brian stood up for Amaya because, y'all, I'm so pissed. Because there was fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grown women around letting these other grown men bully our girl Amaya, and not a woman said a damn fucking thing. A woman didn't say a damn thing. And listen, I have been a woman too triggered to stand up for women in situations. Like, there are definitely situations where I think back on and I'm like, I was too scared to speak up in this situation and I regret it. But there's no reason for that. This was on television. There was no reason for them not to be sticking up for her. And I'm quite disappointed that Girls Girl and like whatever else had been thrown around that villa so cattily, like they used it as a weapon towards one another of like, well, you're just not a girl's girl. And it's like, bitch, you all let this woman cry in front of you at a podium. And like, how dare you? Fuck all of you. How about that? Ugh. But Brian stood up for her. He said, not my Latina queen. You're not finna judge my Latino queen for saying me and more. Okay? And I said, period, King. You tell him. God, pissed off. Jesus Christ. What else? Who else? Who else we got? What else I got in these fucking notes, bro? Oh, also, y'all, Huda. I love Huda. I like her little boyfriend right now. The tall one. The the dude that called them bitches broke. He said, I could be playing ball overseas right now. Okay, King. Tell him. You tell him. Jesus Christ. It makes okay. So I be deep into the interwebs about this shit. Okay, and I heard that Huda used to be like a theater kid, and like so it makes sense that she really wants to get in with the cool kids. And as somebody who like people may have considered cool in high school or whatever, I wasn't that cool. I always felt like I was on the outskirts of the cool kids, but I never really fit in, right? I was always be so I was sort of Huda coded, okay? Um and I don't know. I There's a lot of expectations in there. There's a lot of performance that goes into being that. Like if you were to see the way if Huda were to see the way that we see Shelly and we see Landria and we saw Sierra in their toxicity before they knew that people were thinking they were toxic, because like it does it like there's a weird power trip that happens, and I don't want anybody who hasn't had a little bit of power to sit here and tell me that there's not. If you've gained a little steam on anything, whether that be like you blew up briefly on like Twitter or TikTok or whatever, you know that there's like a weird sort of pressure there. It causes you to act a little silly, right? That power. Hey, the Stanford prison experiment lasted like what, 36 hours? Like the human, because we feel such little control in our day-to-day lives, I really think once we're given a little control, or perceived control, it can push you to do some silly things. So I'm not really, and like you got producers in your ear being like, yeah, fuck that bitch. Like there's really, I'm sure there's some psychological warfare that's happening as well. Um, but just know that like it all ain't rainbows and daisies, babe. Like I was considered cool during the most miserable parts of my life. And I was considered best woman when I was the most stifled version of myself. And I've really had to take, I don't know how I started this, but um it was Huda. It's unpacking still that unresolved trauma of wanting to fit in with the cool kids. And that I've unpacked this a lot of wanting to be liked by everyone, and wanting to be everyone's best friend, and doing morphing whatever I needed to do to get somebody to like me. Tana recently said on a podcast, I don't know which one right now, but she was like, any room that I entered, I would try to find the person who would I thought that would like me the least, and I would try to convince them to like me. And I thought that was really relatable. I really I heard that and I was like, wow. I also spent a large portion of my life doing that. I think that I, even with romantic partners, I hate to say it, but like even in that point of my life, that's really, I was like, I thought if I could get somebody who I thought would never like me to like me, that would prove to me that like I was worthy of something. And I think that this show is so interesting because you see those different unresolved traumas play out in real time. You see these people be put in group situations that are similar to like a college house or like a high school sort of situation where there are hierarchies and there are like whatever. And you see how people revert back to those ways. So I hope, I can tell that Huda has been speaking with their on-site therapist throughout it, and I think that she's really making a lot of progress. So like if nothing else, I really hope that this time for Huda is like very. I hope that she looks back on her time at the villa and is like, I learned so much about myself during this time period, and like really made some strides into what are the things that like obviously got triggered and how can I improve on them. Like I have seen a very clear arc for Huda since the beginning, and I don't know, I root for that or whatever. Um and yeah, I don't know. I love it sucks. It sucks, dude, cuz I love Alandria and I want to love Shelly. I do. I did love Shelly for like a big portion of the season, and I hope that she has some sort of redemption arc. I think and I hope that her and Ace both finding out just how disliked they were by America was sort of a wake up call into like, I'm not running this shit the way that I thought I was. And like ego is such a big part of all of this. Recently also another podcast that you need to go listen to from this episode is Madeline RG. Madeline MADL, oh fuck, Jesus Christ. Madeline. And then RG is spelled ARGY, I think. She recently did an episode. Oh, and the podcast is called Pretty Lonesome. She has done a podcast episode about ego recently, and she talks about it in a way that where ego isn't just strictly derogatory, where it talks about the ego as a system to like help protect you and that sort of thing. And it was really interesting. So I would go listen to that. I think she is so smart. I think she's so cool. I want to be her friend so bad. But yeah, go listen to that. Um, and yeah, so that's sort of the tea on Love Island. Um, Next on my list is Diddy got acquitted for most things. He did get like two charges, but they were like the most minor of the charges. And so he probably won't get more than like, I don't know, 10 to 20 years, if that, or if that. So that's very disappointing. I think with the rise of conservatism and with the rise of just everything that's happening in the world, I can't say that I'm surprised. And like I wouldn't be surprised if more court cases don't go the way that they probably should. Um because I don't know, society has historically hated women, and it's like very in right now to hate women. So um yeah. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. So fun. I also wrote in here, if you have money, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Any questions? Oh, I also just have a note in here that men get dumber and dumber on the internet every day. And I this is just like a message to anyone who thinks that they've been close to me in my life. I am willing to block, unfriend, and cut off my literal mother. Okay. And like that was the person who was closest to me in the whole world. And I am currently deconstructing just how traumatic the relationship that she and I have had has been on my life. And so I want you to consider that the next time you think, hey, did Jenn really unfriend me over this? The answer is yes, I did. Because this is my phone and you're not going to piss me off on it. Okay, next. I started training for my 10K. That's in October. Go crazy. I'm so excited. Yeah, dude. Running's hard. Running's very fucking difficult. I hate it. And I'm excited to build the relationship to it that I know that I'm going to have with it. and it's already starting. Like I already crave it. And so that's cool. I'm working towards it. I Running is something that I've wanted to be into for like the last year. I've spent like the last year trying to get into it consistently. And so I finally bought like a little Garmin watch. And I love the app. It had a 10K like plan for me to train. And so very grateful for that. And it's, I don't know, it's perfect. It's a goal for me to train towards. I said I was going to run a marathon before I turned 30. And so that's the plan. Um, I'm still in the phase where I'm like, the quicker I get out there, the quicker I can come in. But I'm getting to a point. I hope I start liking it soon. I've already improved, but I hope I start liking it soon. I had a good weekend. I got to go to the farmers market, and then I laid by the pool all day on Saturday. Super cutesy, super fun. Had lots of fun. Loved that. Um, and I also like have started to contemplate like just how much I enjoy my independence, like I'm as much as we've talked about like dating in the last few weeks, I've also come to understand that like the phases in your life that you get to be alone don't last forever. And like this phase that I'm in right now where I'm living alone and I'm really like focusing on myself and my goals and all the things that I'm passionate about and all the people I'm passionate about. I know that there are going to be phases in my life where I'm going to go years without seeing some of my best friends because we're going to settle down in different ways and life will change. And I'm excited for that phase, but I'm excited to not rush into it and like allow that phase to come when it's ready to me or ready for me. I'm like obviously I'm open to pursuing those things and like I am and have been and whatever. um but I don't know, like I like the idea of coexisting but not rushing. I rushed to coexist. I while I was in Malaysia, I got to talk to Bestie. Bestie and I had a conversation about how like I don't know, when I graduated high school, my high school boyfriend was like basically living with me and my best friend was living in our house too. And so like I really grew up fast in that regard where I I've been doing wife shit. Like, and I hate I that's such a like crazy way to put it, but like I don't know, like I was coexisting in a house with a man before I was, I don't know, 18. And I don't know. I think that created some weird expectations for what I think romantic intimacy should be and like whatever. And I'm excited to be slower about those things. Like realizing that that's fucking crazy was like a good realization, you know? Fuck. So I don't know. I've been having fun. I've been enjoying summer so far. And I have a ton of interviews at the end of the month. So you guys are going to get fed here soon, hopefully. But there's a lot of work for me to do in the interim. So I got to put my head down and start to write. And you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm enjoying my independence and I'm enjoying, like, I don't know, going on dates, figuring out who I like and what I like and like that sort of that's fun. I've been so scared of that. Um, and I'm glad that I'm trying. Anywho, I'm going to see the new Jurassic Park movie tomorrow. So I'll let you know how it is whenever I can. And yeah, I think that's sort of all I got today, team. I know it's sort of a short episode, but um I don't know. Wash your face, drink some water, go out and exercise, take a hot girl walk, do what you need to do to get that serotonin up. You know what I mean? Them dopamine and all that shit. All right, bye. Love you.